Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs, and welcome to Topanga Canyon. In this video, I wanted to show you what I find to be good compositions, bad compositions. Over 3 days, I came in this canyon to take different photos. I tried to shoot some behind the scenes so you could really see what I consider to be a good composition. I find composition in the countryside and landscape really hard. So follow me and let's go in the Topanga Canyon, California and do some great photos. One of the biggest difficulty I have when I take photos in landscape is what I call high frequency texture. You see, what I try to do with my photos is find some cool foreground elements, some cool middle ground and some cool background. The problem is that in nature, you often have like a lot of grass and small trees that are, to me, a lot of things going on. So it's not always easy to get a nice foreground element. I actually spend all my time, and that's trick number one, trying to find a cool foreground. So I'm going to show you something which I think is kind of boring, which is just having bushes as a foreground because it's high frequencies, there's a lot of small things, and I find it adds confusion to the photo. So that's what I consider a bit of a boring setup here. I'm always shooting for the highlights, so I want to see, I have a lot of dynamic range right now, I want to see some details in the sky. I'm at 100 ISO all the time, and I'm at 7.1, and then I just boost the speed until I can see some details in the sky. So right now, I'm kind of happy with what I'm getting, but the foreground is kind of boring. So rule number one is try to find some really cool foreground elements, and that's really hard. So this is already a little more interesting because you see you have a rock there. The rock is kind of flat. The only problem is that it's very bright and the eyes goes to the brightest part of the photo. So I'm not sure it's going to work. So I'm going to use this rock as a foreground. Also, the rule number two is leading lines. Here we have a nice dirt road going into the landscape. So that could be cool. The only problem is that there is almost no clouds that way. There's a lot of clouds this way. A little bit on the left side, but right on my leading lines, I don't have nice clouds. So I'm going to take this shot, we'll see how it goes. But this is actually a nicer foreground element to me. So look for really cool foreground elements. We're going to try this one. So I'm in love with puddles, and because there is a really nice path and there is clouds, but it's very messy on the right and it's very messy on the left. And so it's confusing. You have to find foreground elements which are more pure, that tells a bigger story. I'm always looking to try to tell a story. The story I want to tell on this one is that path toward the cloud, but all this dead tree there is not helping. So let's carry on. Yeah, it's not working because just too many things going on. We got a great light, but the foreground is not good. It's not going to work. All right, so one idea I had was to get very close to one of the flowers, two of these flowers there. And so we have the sunset and the flowers. That can be kind of cool. The key point is to go to manual focus. This lens, which is a 12-24 from Sony, can focus 30 centimeter, which is about, I'm thinking about 5 inches. And so I zoomed in on these two flowers, and indeed it's very sharp. So I'm gonna focus, I'm gonna take several photos. I'm gonna take first a photo for these two flowers that's there, and then I'm gonna move my focus a little bit. I'm gonna focus, for example, like maybe on half a meter. So half a meter is gonna be let's see here. I'm zooming in to make sure I'm good. I'm focusing like on the next flower that's over there. Okay. I make sure I'm sharp. Yeah, so now it's good. These flowers are blurry, this one is sharp, and now I'm gonna move further. I'm gonna go maybe to 1 meter and take one. And the more you have, the better, because in Photoshop, we'll be able to get them all to blend. Okay, and then I'm gonna take one more, I'm going to go to 2 meters. I rather have more than not enough. This is really cool because there is the flowers and we have the mountain and we have the sunset. And then I'm going to take one onto infinity. Okay, so one trick is when you have a lot of contrast like this, if you shoot with the sun is coming straight, you can see it on my hand here, it's coming straight on my face, and it's hard to take a photo with the sun in your lens because it's gonna take over everything. The eyes goes to the brightest part of the photo. So I have a trick, which is that I make the sun to be half in and half out, and I try to be like at f10 or above, because when you're f10, actually let me show you. I'm gonna take this shot, this photo, with the sun straight into the camera, and I'm gonna do it first. I'm gonna do it first at f4, so a very wide aperture. You'll see how the sun looks. Okay, now I'm gonna take the same shot, but I'm gonna go at f10. You see how you have like a little starlight effect. So that's cool, but I find it what's even nicer is to go at f10 so you have the starlight and get the sun to be half in and half out. So I'm gonna play around with this kind of composition. So let's go back to Lightroom and see what we got. All right, guys, so I'm back into my studio. So after the 3 days of shooting, I hope you find the behind the scene very interesting. I'm gonna show you the end result. A couple of weeks ago, I did a challenge with macro photography. I have yet to pick the winner. It's probably gonna be in the next video. Also, I have a brand new free masterclass that just came out. The link is below the video. It's basically explaining you my life story and how I went to almost losing my house by trying to be a professional photographer all the way to selling $500,000 in fine art print. So if that's something you're into, if you want to take your photography to the next level, check out this free masterclass. Also, I'm going to be using my preset, but I'm going to give you my free preset to do this. So all you have to do, the link is below the video. You will get an option to buy my full pack of presets, which if you can is amazing because I use them every day. I've done all my books with it and they are just really cool. And it also helps me to do free stuff for you guys. So first of all, let's install the preset. If you click the link down below by email, make sure it's not in your spam. You're gonna get a zip file. You just go to import preset. It's called Lightroom and Classic Zip. If you have an older version of Lightroom, don't worry. I also have an older version of my preset with a PDF that will walk you through on how to install it. Okay, so now we are ready to retouch. We are ready to rock and roll. So this is the first photo that I showed you, which I think is really boring because the foreground is very big, it's very messy, it's high frequency texture. I really don't like it. This one is kind of cool. That was the one where the, I had the rocks there. So if I go to my free preset and I go like on the basic preset, it's gonna look a little bit better. Whenever you use my preset, you have to add sometimes a bit of contrast. You have to hold down the Option key on your keyboard and click here to the left or right until you see some black points. Black points means you have achieved 100% black in these points. What you see here in green and yellow is 100% black. And I do the same thing with the white point. I hold down the Option key and I go to the right side and boom. So this photo is kind of okay, but the problem with the composition is the light was not that great and you can see so much attention on the ground that's very sort of white. The white balance is kind of off on this one. So I can make it, it's just a boring daylight photo. Plus the stone is kind of nice, but it's so bright that everything, all my attention goes to that. So I'm not gonna retouch it more than this. I'm gonna go to the next one. That's the puddle I showed you in the video.
I always like puddles. I got very close to it, but in the end, I didn't like the composition because of this. You see here we have a lot of like dead wood with a dead tree there, some dead trees. It's just not nice. This was kind of nicer. That was the way, that was the path to the sunset. Sunset was coming around, and if I use my golden hour preset on it, you will see right away it's going to look better. But high frequency texture on the right, high frequency on the left. You know, the dirt road is not that nice. The sunset is not, I don't know. I rejected the photo afterwards. This is when I started doing this whole flower thing. So this is the photo. Remember, I showed you where I focused for the first flower. The first flower was pretty sharp. And then I took the next flower, made this one sharp, and etc. And I did this with like 4 or 5 photos. This is the result that I got at the end. The problem is that it's, I'm going to do a whole video just on that photo because it took me a lot more time and I did not want this video to drag on. But basically what I did is I merged all the layers. I went into Photoshop and I cleaned up everything, took some flowers out that were dead, added some more, copy and paste some flowers to get this result. So subscribe to my channel to make sure you get the video where I'm going to show you how I did this photo. Okay, now we come to the first one that's kind of okay for me. And you see how underexposed I go? I really underexpose a lot. And this is the raw file on retouch, but if I put my sunset preset, you see right away it kind of looks cool. So I have to hold on the option key to the black point and then the white key. That's my white point, and add some contrast. The problem with this photo, I kind of like it. The problem is that the sunset, when you use my sunset preset, you have to go to the circle here and you will see there's a circle that you're supposed to be putting over the sun. You see, if you move it around, it just makes the sun more awesome. So I'm going to put it here. If it's too strong, you can go here into the range mask. You go to luminance and you move the range to the right. What that's going to do is make the circle less effective. It's going to make it so it's less influencing the photo. But it's still add a nice touch. Check it out. Without the circle with, you see it makes that sunset just pop a little more. Now the problem with this photo to me, I'm going to add some more contrast, is the foreground is too visible. So I'm going to go to my gradients and I'm going to look at the gradient that's here. There's a gradient by default on my preset. And I'm going to rotate it a little bit so that it covers more the direction of the ground. And I'm going to darken a lot this baby. Yeah, because I think the eyes is going too much to the brightest part of this photo. I think on this one, I'm add a little bit more vibrance, a little more color. And I think I want to go 16:9. So I'm going to take the crop tool and I'm going to go 16:9, something like that. Boom. Yeah, that's the final result. So that was kind of like the first one. I was like, oh, this one is kind of okay kind of photo, kind of like it. Another day I came back and I had my cameraman's girlfriend was here, a very nice girl. And I asked her to do some, to go on the swing for me. So let me show you this. So this is the photo. This is the photo with at f4. And you see how much the, well, actually not at f4. This is maybe at f10. Let me see. Yeah, f9. So we get the starlight effect, but you see the sun is very much in the photo. It takes too much attention. On the next one, it's right between its two trees, so it's less attention. And on the third one, I have the same effect here, but she's on the branch here. So I thought it was kind of cool to have a model. So I'm just going to go to my golden hour preset, one click, boom. Okay, then I'm going to do my black point. So remember, a preset is only a starting point. You know, you have to put on your own creation. What the preset is going to do is take care of 27 different sliders that you don't have to worry about. It's just going to help you to take photos to places you did not imagine. I cannot tell you how much. It's probably the #1 subject I get an email, people thanking me for having bought my full collection of presets. The link is under the video. Check it out. Okay, white. I'm going to boost the whites on this one, making sure it's not too boost by holding the option key. This one I find maybe the texture is too much. I'm going to add a bit of contrast. Now, same thing here. We have this circle here, so I'm going to take this circle. We have this circle. I think it's a little too much. I'm going to put it around the sun, and I'm going to use this trick that I show you of the luminance to make it strong. Basically, the luminance is going to put the circle behind the tree. That's what it's going to do. So I'm going to go here, bam, I'm going to put it behind the tree. Now, one thing I don't like about this photo is this. You see how that sun is very definite, meaning you can really see the circle. I like it to glow. So to make it glow, I'm just gonna bring down the highlights way higher. I rather have like a big glow than something else. So let me show you the before. So we went from this to this. I'm starting to like this guy. This is starting to look like something. But another time I came with a good friend of mine who is a painter, because we were looking for good painting spots. And I started taking portraits of her while she was kind of scouting the location. It's the exact same place. I like to have somebody in my shot, even if he's kind of small. And I kind of like that about her. She was not, you know, too big in the frame. And so I'm gonna go to my sunset preset. Check this out. Boom, one click. How amazing is that? And then I'm gonna hold on my option key and I'm gonna do my black point is right on the money. My white point needs a little bit of work. Maybe add a bit of contrast. On this one, I think I wanna go 4x5. This is gonna be a perfect photo for Instagram. So I'm gonna go on the crop tool 4x5 and maybe just crop here. Oh, look at this photo. I really like that. I really like that. Yeah, she's scouting the place and I'm gonna go here. I actually sent it to her and she really loved it. You know, I like how we have the here. This is 2 gradients, by the way, which are in my all my preset. There's a gradient for the top and the bottom. You just have to adjust it to your liking. And on this one, be a bit more contrast. I like how this plant somehow this little pass here and the colors is crazy. It was a crazy sunset that night. Out of the 3 days, that was the only time I got a good sunset. Okay, maybe make it a bit brighter. I'm just gonna take a brush and I just wanna double click here on effects so everything comes to 0. Make sure my flow intensity is in the 70s, add a bit of exposure, and boom, I'm just gonna add a bit of exposure here and there. Voila. Okay, and I think I really like that retouching. Let me show you the before. So that's the before, and that's the final result. Pretty impressive. Next is this panorama that I did where I took like so is this one, starts here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos. So I'm gonna select all 6 photos and I'm gonna right click, photo merge, panorama. And I'm gonna go to spherical or cylindrical. It's just 2 different ways to, you know, stitch a photo. I think I wanna go to cylindrical because it's got a bit more sky. But there's a new option. If you are a Creator Cloud member, there's a new option which is really cool, which is called Fill Edges. When you click on that, what it's going to do is going to create with the content awareness technology, which is like a computerized technology, it's going to create all the missing pixel, which is now done. And then I'm going to click on Merge, and that's going to create a huge file for me. The reason why I showed a pano, by the way, and I forgot to explain that in the video, is because if I had done this with a wide angle, the trees would have looked really far away. It would have been a bit distorted. And honestly, that day I had forgotten my wide angle. So when I do that, I just have my 24-105 and I put it on the, you know, in portrait mode and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom, here we are. Basically, I'm just gonna use my sunset preset. Check this out, 1 click, boom. And then I'm just gonna check my black point, my white point, add some contrast. I'm gonna take the circle. Remember there's a circle here on my preset, yeah, and it's at the right place. And it might be a bit strong on this one. So I'm gonna use the luminance slider to make that circle less visible so it doesn't, you see, that's totally out of the way. Just a little bit of more light. And I think on this one, I want to do the same trick. I think I wanna go 16:9, or I'm pretty close to 16:9. Anyhow, yeah, I'm pretty close to 16:9, but I maybe want to get a little closer to this tree here by cropping the photo. But because it's a pano, check this out. It's got 8,000 pixels wide. On the same thing, I'm going to take a little brush and I'm just going to add a bit of exposure, a bit of flow and density, you know, just to make this part a bit brighter. I just do a little bit and voila. So this is the before and this is the final shot. So guys, let me know. I put a lot more work in this video. If you like this format of me, you know, shooting behind the scenes, please share this video. It really helps me because it took me a lot of work to do this free video for you guys. And check out my masterclass if you want to know my life story. Basically, you know, as I said, I always lost my house trying to be a photographer. I'm very passionate, but I I did the shift very late in life. I was, almost in my 40s when I decided to become a professional photographer. And so, I'm going to tell you all my stories and all the things that have worked for me. I got a great feedback on this masterclass. The link is below. Don't forget to download the preset, and I'll see you in another video. Thank you very much.